I've broken it down into sort of 4 observations: parenting, technology, impatience, and environment.
We all joke about the first step, admitting you have a problem, but it's the 12th step that matters. If an alcoholic masters all 11 steps and not the 12th, it's highly likely they'll drink again. If they master the 12th step, they're much more likely to overcome the disease. The 12th step is the commitment to help another alcoholic. It's service. And this really is the most powerful thing in the world, which is, it's not about us, it's about others. You know, there's an entire section in the bookshop called self-help. There's no section in the bookshop called help others. And it's not about how can I lose 10 pounds? How can I find the job that I love? How can I find the love of my life, you know? No. It's not how can I lose 10 pounds, it's how can I help somebody I care about live a healthy lifestyle. It's not how can I find the job that I love, it's how can I help somebody I care about find a lifetime of joy in their work. It's not how can I find true love, it's how can I help my friends settle down and live the life they want to live. And ironically, if we set out to help people solve the problems that we struggle with ourselves, that in turn is what teaches us.
I'm on a plane. We start hitting some really bad turbulence. When I find myself getting nervous, I say to myself, this is so exciting, and I'll explain the reason to myself why. So, like an actor, you don't get nervous when you go on stage anymore, but occasionally you do. So I get to go on stage a lot, and I don't really get nervous much anymore, but I was going to present to 3,000 chiefs of police right in the middle of all this police brutality hullabaloo. And I got really nervous because the stakes were really high, you know? And I was literally getting nervous backstage. And I said to myself, this is so exciting. I have an opportunity to talk to a group of people who can actually affect change in this country. This is really exciting. Now, I could have said the same thing. I'm so nervous. I'm about to talk to people who can, but the interpretation was excitement. Just change the narrative.
So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. The Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's 2 ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line, I leaned in between 2 people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out 2 bagels. And no one got mad at me, because the rule is you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out.
The other problem that I come across very often is I get some really wonderful self-taught leaders in middle management. They're reading books, they're going to conferences themselves, they're watching TED Talks. I mean, they're students of leadership, they have mentors. I mean, they're really making a go of it, and they complain that the senior management, all they care about is the quarterly earnings. And so the problem we have there is they're trying so hard to do the right thing, but management really doesn't care. So that's the opposite, right? And in those cases, I generally recommend that the right thing to do, I mean, quitting is always an option, but that's not necessarily the best option or the first option. But I always recommend to be the leader you wish you had, which is, it is one of the, if not the most common question I get, which is, what do I do when I'm trying to do the right thing and my boss or my boss's boss or my boss's boss's boss just don't get it, you know? All they care about is money before people. And the answer is you can't control what you can't control, so worry about the people around you. Worry about the people to the sides of you, a level below you, even a level above you, and you be the leader you wish you had. And what you start to find in those pockets is these magical little diamonds in the rough appear. We worked with a large technology company, and we worked with a group where that's exactly what we did. We developed this whole leadership thing just for this little group in the middle.
I like honest feedback. I like to know what I can improve on. One of the frustrations of living in the public eye a little bit is people want to tell me good things, but I also want to know bad things, you know? Like, yeah, I want to know what could be better. And I really value that. And thank goodness I have a team that's really honest with me. They let me know. And I have a family that's really, my sister's fantastic at just letting me know how it is, you know? And I think that's good. You know, good news is nice, and it's good to hear. It's nice to know that you're doing well, and compliments are great. But I like to know what I can do better. And when people go, no, it's great. It's just not true. It's just not true. Whether it's something minor or something major, I like to hear it. So I'll take the bad news all the time. Yeah, I mean, I can get very intense in a debate sometimes, and sometimes I'm a very good devil's advocate, but they don't know that I'm playing devil's advocate. So sometimes I have to remind myself to say it out loud. I'm sort of a little like a pit bull. I can sort of just pick the point and hammer away at it, and it can be very off-putting for some people. It's not that they're not nervous, it's their interpretation of what's happening in their bodies. I mean, what happens when you're nervous, right? Your heart rate starts to go, you sort of get a little tense, you get a little sweaty, right? You have expectation of what's coming, and we interpret that as, I'm nervous. Now, what's the interpretation of excited? Your heart rate starts to go, you're anticipating what's coming, right? You get a little sort of like tense. It's all the same thing, it's the same stimuli, except these athletes, these Olympic quality athletes, have learned to interpret the stimuli that the rest of us would say as nervous as excited. They all say the same thing. No, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. And so I've actually practiced it just to tell myself when I start to get nervous that this is excitement, you know? And so I used to speak in front of a large audience and somebody would say, how do you feel? I used to say, a little nervous. Now when somebody says, how do you feel? I'm like, really excited actually. And it came from just sort of telling myself, no, this is excitement. And it becomes a little bit automatic later on. But it's kind of a remarkable thing to deal with pressure by interpreting what your body is experiencing as excitement rather than nerves. And it's really kind of effective. It makes you want to rush forwards rather than pull back, and yet it's the same experience.
Apparently, your generation is unleadable. Apparently, you confound leaders. And I travel around talking about this thing called leadership, and apparently you're the one they have no idea what to do with, which I think is funny. And so what they've started to do then is ask you what you want. And you reply back, free food and beanbags. Open plan. They do that, and yet nothing changes. And so instead of trying to figure it out, try and understand you guys, they accuse you of being entitled. They accuse you of being narcissistic. Sometimes accuse you of being lazy. I've heard that one. And I think that they are completely wrong. I think what they haven't spent the time to do is to practice empathy, which ironically is the first criteria of being a good leader, which is you have to be good at empathy. And so when I get asked this question all the time, it only makes sense that I should empathize and try and have an answer, right? So here's what I tell everybody. I've broken it down into sort of 4 observations: parenting, technology, impatience, and environment. Many of this young generation, of this millennial generation, were subject to what has been described as a failed parenting strategy. Combined with the fact there's an institutionalized impatience. So they've grown up in a world of instant gratification. You want to buy something? You go on Amazon, it shows up the next day. You want to get in touch with someone? You don't leave a message on their machine and wait 4 hours for them to get the message. You just text them and they get back to you immediately. You want to watch a movie? You just log on and watch it. You don't have to check movie times, right? Everything happens instant. You want to get a date? Swipe right. You don't even have to muster up the courage to go up like, hey, You don't have to. There you go, got a date, right? And so the problem is, they're accused of being entitled. I don't think they're entitled at all. Not at all. I think they're impatient. I keep meeting these fantastic, smart, driven, ambitious, idealistic, fantastic kids who graduated school, they got a job, they want to make an impact in the world, and I go up to them and say, how's it going? And they say, I think I'm gonna quit. I'm like, why? They're like, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months. It's as if they see the summit of a mountain. It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain, they can see the summit, they can see the thing they want to make an impact. What they don't see is the mountain, this large, immovable object. You can go up fast, you can go up slow, I don't care, but there's still a mountain. What they don't understand is that life, that relationships, and career fulfillment are a journey. There's no app for that. I got nothing. You gotta go through the slow, plodding, annoying, meandering process called career and life.